She is one of the most, if not the most, recognizable heroes on the planet. The embodiment of strength, compassion, and truth. She's led armies, fought gods, and stood shoulder to shoulder with the legends like Superman and Batman. Yet somehow, even after more than 80 years, Wonder Woman still feels like a mystery to the big screen. She's an icon everyone knows, but few truly understand. And in an age of cinematic universes and superhero satirization, she remains the most underutilized hero in live-action storytelling. So today, naturally, we're going to change that, or at least try to. This is the story of Wonder Woman. What makes her so unique, why she matters more than ever, and how Hollywood has repeatedly failed to capture the magic that made her an icon. Wonder Woman was born from a world of myth, and from one man's radical dream. Her creator, William Moulton Marston, wasn't just a comic writer. He was a psychologist, an inventor, and a passionate believer in women's equality. In the early 1940s, when most female characters in comics were damsels in distress, Marston imagined something revolutionary. A heroine who didn't just fight evil. She taught the world what true power meant. Marston believed that humanity's survival depended on replacing dominance with understanding, violence with empathy, so he created a hero who could match Superman's strength but surpass him in compassion. Her golden lasso wasn't just a weapon, it was a symbol of truth. Her bracelets weren't just armor, they were reminders of restraint. Wonder Woman wasn't made to conquer, she was made to connect. She was born of love, sent into a world at war, and told to bring peace through wisdom, not fear. And from her first appearance in 1941, that message resonated. She became more than just a character. She became a philosophy. Where Superman represented hope, and Batman represented justice, Wonder Woman represented truth. Truth not just as a cold fact, but as emotional honesty. Truth that connects people, truth that heals. To understand Wonder Woman, you have to understand her balance. She's both a warrior and a peacemaker, a goddess and human. She believes in fighting when she must, but never out of hate. She embodies what it means to be strong and kind, to love fiercely even when the world doesn't deserve it. When people think of strength, they often think of destruction, breaking enemies, or asserting dominance. But Wonder Woman redefined that entirely. Her strength isn't in her fists, although it is definitely there, for sure. It's really in her heart. She's the rare hero who wins not by killing her enemy, but by convincing them to change. To her, compassion isn't weakness. It's the greatest power there is. Because compassion requires courage. It's easy to fight, but it's harder to forgive. When she climbs that ladder in no man's land, alone, against an entire army, it's not just an action scene. It's a visual sermon. She's literally walking through humanity's hatred to prove that kindness can still survive in it. And that's who she is, a warrior for peace. Wonder Woman's best interpretations have always remembered her heart. In the 1970s, Lynda Carter brought her to life with radiant optimism and strength. She wasn't cynical, she wasn't broken, she was confident, compassionate, and joyful. A hero who smiled while saving people. And audiences fell in love with that, because it wasn't about spectacle, it was about sincerity. And to this day, Lynda Carter is one of, if not the most iconic adaptation or version of this iconic character. And then, in the early 2000s, the animated Justice League series gave us a more layered Diana, more regal, serious, and wrestling with her place amongst humans. That version respected her Amazonian roots, but also gave her emotional vulnerability. She could stand toe-to-toe with gods and still take time to comfort a child or listen to a friend. Comics from George Perez and Greg Rucka deepened her mythos, reintroducing Greek gods, exploring her diplomacy, and showing her both as a soldier and stateswoman. They understood that Wonder Woman's greatest battles aren't against monsters. They're against humanity's own flaws. And each of her villains embodies a philosophical struggle. Ares represents the allure of violence. Cheetah reflects jealousy and self-loathing. And Circe embodies arrogance and vengeance. Wonder Woman's fights are allegories, or lessons in balance between love and power. But when we look at her live-action history, things get complicated. For decades, Hollywood didn't know what to do with Wonder Woman. Studios saw her as a risk, being, too idealistic, too feminine, too philosophical. Executives wanted a female Superman, when what they needed was Wonder Woman. Decades passed, scripts were rewritten, projects were canceled, until finally, in 2017, Patty Jenkins gave us the Wonder Woman film we've been waiting for. And that movie got it. It wasn't just a superhero story. It was a myth brought to life. Diana's journey from the mascara to the trenches of World War I mirrored humanity's own awakening. She entered a world ruled by fear, hate, and cynicism, and refused to let it break her. Every frame of that film radiated sincerity. It reminded audiences that love, real love, is not naive, it's defiant. And that is why Wonder Woman 2017, to this day, is probably hailed as the best Wonder Woman project so far. But then came Wonder Woman 1984, a film full of potential, but lost in its tone and execution. The heart was still there, but the narrative was muddled, turning a goddess of truth into a symbol of confusion. Studio interference, rushed development, and a misunderstanding of her message turned something that should have been powerful into something hollow. And since then, Wonder Woman has been pushed to the sidelines. She's had cameos, brief appearances, forgotten arcs. A character built to lead was turned into a guest star. The irony is painful. She's one of DC's Trinity, although some people would argue that the Trinity doesn't even matter. Yet, she's treated as an afterthought in her own cinematic universe. And it's not because audiences lost interest. That's definitely not it. It's because the people behind the camera lost faith. They keep asking, how do we make Wonder Woman relevant? The truth is, though, she's always been relevant. It's the world that forgot why. What makes Wonder Woman timeless isn't her powers. It's her purpose. In a world obsessed with dominance, she reminds us that the greatest victories are moral, not physical. She's a bridge between worlds, between gods and mortals, men and women, war and peace. And her lasso, her most iconic weapon, is not about control. It's about understanding. She doesn't demand truth, but she inspires it. She makes those around her want to be honest, want to be better. That's not what separates her from every other hero. Or that is what separates her from every other hero. Sorry. In the modern age, where cynicism often defines heroism, Wonder Woman stands as a beacon of sincerity. She believes that love isn't just a feeling, but a force, and that's something the world desperately needs, especially right now. So, how exactly do you fix Wonder Woman in live action? Well, you don't quote-unquote fix her. You listen to her. You listen to the stories that have already been told about her. You let her be what she's always been, a warrior of peace. She doesn't need a gritty reboot. She doesn't need to be redefined. She just needs to be understood. A great Wonder Woman film would focus on her philosophy, not just her physical strength. It would show her not as an alien or vigilante, but as an ambassador, trying to reach humanity on how to heal itself. It would explore her empathy as much as her power, and would give her the mythological weight she deserves. A story that feels like an epic poem and not a corporate product or just a era movie. Directors like Denis Villeneuve, Greta Gerwig, or Chloe Zhao could capture her emotional scale perfectly, in my opinion, balancing myth and humanity. Denis, or however you pronounce it, especially, would be my pick. However, I do have faith that someone like Chloe Zhao could do her justice. I am in the camp that the Eternals was pretty overhated, And with a character like Wonder Woman, I believe Chloe Zhao could knock it out of the park. However, her villains should also reflect her ideals in conflict. Cersei's hatred versus Diana's compassion. Ares' chaos versus her truth. Cheetah's envy versus her empathy. These aren't just battles, but they can be conversations. And through them, Wonder Woman teaches us that real strength isn't about defeating others, but it's about understanding and helping them. Wonder Woman hasn't survived 8 decades because of branding or nostalgia, but because she represents something eternal. She reminds us that power without love is tyranny, that truth without compassion is cruelty, and that courage without empathy is hollow. In a world that constantly asks us to harden our hearts, she dares to say, only love can truly save the world. Wonder Woman isn't just a hero for women. She's a hero for everyone who believes that kindness is not a weakness, but strength. She doesn't just fight evil, she makes us believe we could be better. And that is why I believe Wonder Woman deserves her time in the spotlight. She deserves the treatment that she is entitled to, in my opinion. Wonder Woman is an iconic hero. She's one I've loved since I was a child, and that's the thing about great heroes. And I said this in my Static Shock video. Great heroes are not defined by their skin color or their gender. They're just great heroes. If you like a hero, you like a hero. Especially as a kid, you're not thinking of all the noise that other people like to bring into things. And I think that's really something special about her. Wonder Woman is interesting because she's had her times where she's been respected very well, like, as I mentioned, the Justice League animated show or the Wonder Woman 2017 movie. But then you have times like 1984 or, even now I feel like she's in limbo. I've said that in my other DC videos where it is frustrating to me that Gunn seems so gung-ho on other projects before really nailing down the Trinity. Because in my opinion, the Trinity are the pillars of DC, and you need to get them right. And it's very frustrating for me personally to have all these shows and movies, and even some other ones like confirmed with release dates, while Wonder Woman doesn't even have a release date, or confirmed movie or an actress or anything. Like, we know she's going to be appearing in the universe, obviously, but we have no word on, a production, on a movie, what that movie would even look like, a director for that movie. We have nothing. And it's kind of frustrating because I just want her to have as much time in the spotlight as possible, especially with this new universe. I think it'd be a perfect opportunity. Because while Gal Gadot did her best, it was just kind of a mixed bag. It's like 50-50, literally. One adaptation was very good. The other one, not so much. And then you have the same thing with Justice League, where in Justice League, I would say it's rough. In Zack Snyder's Justice League, I would say it's incredible. So it's very interesting to see where the future of the character will go. I have faith that they will do her justice. However, I'm entitled to be frustrated about it. I'm entitled to get angry, and I just hope that, frankly, they get their shit together because she's a badass character. Let me know what you guys think down below, though. Did you like this video? It was a little bit more scripted, just like my Static Shock video. So, again, let me know if you kind of like that format or if you prefer me to be more off the cuff. Let me know what you think of Wonder Woman, both, as her as a character as a whole. Also, in her appearance in the upcoming DCU. I mean, I'm interested to see where it goes. Let me know where you think they're going to introduce her or how they're going to do it. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for sticking around.